Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you guys here. Today, as you can see, I want to share my thoughts on 3 fragrances from Paris Corner. I feel like all 3 are pretty recent releases. All 3 were sent to me for reviewing purposes by the team from Dubai Collection. So thank you so much to Dubai Collection. In case you want to test these fragrances and you are looking for samples or why not full bottles, feel free to check them out. So today I want to share my thoughts on a fragrance called Choco Cult from the Ministry of Gourmand line. Next I want to share my thoughts on a fragrance called Date Caramel from Paris Corner. And last but not least, I want to share my thoughts on a fragrance called Gladiators Oud from the Ministry of Oud line. So this will be more of a review slash not really first impressions because I've tested all of these fragrances, but more of a trying them out type of video. Some I've tested more than others, but I've tested them all anyways. That's besides the point. Let's just start. If you have tried any of these fragrances, feel free to share your thoughts on any of these blends in the comment section down below, because I am certain that everyone who's watching this review interested in purchasing any of these 3 fragrances could really use your feedback as well, because fragrance at the end of the day is subjective, and how it smells like to me, it might be a little bit different than how you perceive it. So let's just start. With which one to start? Let's start with this one. Let's start with Choco Cult from the Ministry of Gourmand series. From the Ministry of Gourmand series, I've also tested recently Mango Jugoso and Coconut Lagoon. And I will add a note for this fragrance here on the screen. This promises to be a lot of things, you guys. But it's very interesting because if I were to look at the notes and I would try to imagine how this fragrance smells like, and then I would smell it on my skin, I feel like the fragrance, like the notes translate quite different in real life versus in my imagination, you know? But let me spray it on a piece of paper to get the opening, because I have the, let's just say, hard close to the dry down part here on the skin, so I'll be able to comment on both. So let's see how this fragrance smells like in the opening. Okay, so this opens up with a lot of cocoa powder. Yeah, but see, it's interesting that here it pulls a little bit more refreshing than it pulls on my skin. On my skin, the refreshing quality starts to shine 30-35 minutes in. Yeah, as I'm smelling this fragrance right off the bat, I pick a lot of cocoa powder. It's slightly bittersweet, is that type of cocoa powder, so it's not chocolate leaning to the point that it exudes sweetness necessarily. No, it's more that flavor cocoa powder accord that has this bitter undertone about it. It does add sweetness, of course, but it's a more deeper flavored kind of sweetness. And orange blossom, you guys. Now, the way this fragrance smells like to me is very interesting. I kept smelling it and smelling it, testing it and testing it, and until it hit me. This fragrance legit smells like a body butter. Like, imagine a shea body butter with a lot of cocoa powder. Not again the one that's sweet, more like the one that's flavored. So imagine you would mix some shea butter with raw cocoa butter, and you would add, for some reason, more drops of concentrated orange blossom water, the one you use to bake different desserts. If you try to imagine how all of these facets would play out, I'd say this is how the fragrance smells like to me in the opening. So yes, I pick up the cocoa powder, that it's bittersweet at the same time, very flavored, quite dark, quite deep. Then I pick up this rich, thick, pasty almost of a texture, and I think this is what makes me think of a body butter. And then the orange blossom, that I've told you how it plays into the composition. This, not only that it smells like a body butter, but also to me it kind of acts and wears as a body butter also, because I have it here on the skin as well, and in a way it's almost like the scent. By the way, this is not the strongest fragrance to begin with, especially compared to these 2 other fragrances that I will review a little bit later, but this smells and acts and wears like a scented body butter. Yeah, it has this rich, thick, very dense texture about it. So it's not just creamy to my nose, because the first time I've smelled it, the creaminess reminded me of Soir el Dahab from Bet El Bahor, which has a beautiful lotiony like creaminess about it. But this not. This to me, the creaminess is much thicker, much denser, much more robust of a creamy accord. This is why it gives me that body butter undertone. Yeah, what to tell you about this fragrance? This fragrance has quite an unexpected development. So I told you how it smells in the opening and the body butter resemblance that I pick up. But give it, I don't know, 30-35 minutes and the scent trajectory changes quite a bit. So from feeling quite thick, quite buttery, very cocoa powder dominant, very orange blossom dominant, with gentle vanilla accents that to me work more texture-wise, again to give you this layered, robust, round around the edges effect. Sweetness, I can't really say that the sweetness I pick up, it's mainly from the vanilla accord. If I smell it and I look for the vanilla accord, I am able to pick it up, but I feel like it works more like I've mentioned texture-wise, because the main scent that I pick up is the cocoa powder with that beautiful orange blossom. But give it, again, like I've mentioned, 30-35 minutes, and it starts to lose slowly but surely that robust feeling from the body butter, a cord or something that resembles that, and it goes quite refreshing in a way. And it starts to remind me a little bit of Coconut Lagoon from Paris Corner. Now, of course, they haven't listed everything that went into creating this fragrance. They have listed the notes, not necessarily the ingredients, quote unquote, But I could bet, I could genuinely bet that this has something that you also find in Coconut Lagoon. And let me tell you how it smells like to my nose, or what's the common accord that I pick up in both. Is this slightly cold, a little bit refreshing, a lime with coconut water. This is the effect it gives me. And it's such an unexpected accord that starts to shine here as well, but especially on my skin, I feel like. Yeah, I think it's quite a comforting fragrance. I think it's that, I don't know why, again in my mind, because I have that association with the body butter, with something you'd find in the natural section at the department store, in terms of body butters. To me, it's that kind of fragrance that you'd apply after an everything shower, like you wash your hair, you shave, you epilate, and then you'd apply a fragrance, but first you'd apply a body butter, then you'd come with a fragrance. To me, this is that kind of fragrance you'd wear after an everything shower, because it smells like, somehow it smells clean without smelling actually clean, in a way that it doesn't have anything funky about it, anything funky or challenging. But at the same time, it has the creaminess, that beautiful richness and depth that it has. Yeah, this is how Choco Cult smells like to me. Now, what to tell you about this fragrance? I think it's a beautiful fragrance if you have a taste for this kind of fragrances. Keep in mind, at least from my experience, this is not the kind of fragrance that projects a lot. This is not the kind of fragrance that you wear when you want to make a statement with your fragrance, when you want your fragrance to be smelled by everybody around you. I feel like this is the kind of fragrance that somehow when people come closer to you, they will definitely be able to smell it on you. But let's just say projection is maximum at arm's length, from my experience at least. Yeah, if you love cocoa powder in your fragrances and if you love a buttery texture to it, I think you will enjoy it. Now, moving on to the next fragrance, let me continue with Date Caramel, because this fragrance was quite a surprise for me. Now, maybe I am saying that this is not the kind of fragrance, or that this is the kind of fragrance that wears more like a body butter, like a scented body butter, and the scent that lingers on your skin, in my mind, is the scent that lingers after applying that body butter everywhere. Because I've tested these fragrances one after the other. I've started with this one, then I've tested this one, and this is, I kid you not, I feel like at least 5 times stronger than Choco Cult. Now, this is that kind of fragrance that's that has such a loud personality. This is not for the faint of heart, and this is also not for people who don't like gourmand facets in their fragrances. And when I mean gourmand, I don't mean just a vanilla accord, I don't mean just a caramel accord, no. I mean different, it has these layers upon layers upon layers of different sticky, sweet gourmand facets. So they're not just sweet, but they're also very sticky texture-wise and dense. Yeah, but this is such a beautiful fragrance. So let me apply this fragrance on paper as well. I have to keep arranging my hair, because if my hair gets here on my mic, it happened once and there was all sorts of noises. So let's see. Yes, you're right from the get-go. As I did 3 sprays here, I can smell it everywhere in the air. Currently, I'm surrounded by the scent profile. Yeah, this is such an interesting fragrance, you guys. So again, I will add the notes here, but I will tell you how it smells like to me. So this opens up extremely boozy, like extremely boozy. I was not expecting the fragrance, this fragrance to smell so boozy. And to me, it has a very specific effect in the opening. To me, it smells like you were to soak or to infuse some tonka beans, because it legit has this scent that I also pick up when you just freshly open a packet of tonka beans and you go in and get a whiff of those tonka beans. Is that first scent you pick up, I pick it up here as well. So I am tempted to say this has something nutty tonka bean like in the mix, but it's almost like you were to infuse a bunch of tonka beans in rum. You were to let them soak to make, I don't know, a tincture or something like an essence or of some sort. What a loud and unexpected opening this fragrance has. This is why I'm tempted to say it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for those who don't love, like I've mentioned, a plethora of different gourmand accents. Now, I'd say I pick up this nutty, boozy facet for a good 10 minutes. After that, for some reason, it fades away completely, and you are left with all those different sticky sweet facets. Yeah, but like I've mentioned, think you'd soak tonka beans in rum, because the boozy accord to me again feels very flavored. It almost has this licorice, not really chocolatey-like facet, but it has this deep boozy licorice quality about it. And in the background, as I'm smelling this accord, 1 minute and a half in, I start to pick up the beautiful and very well done date accord. That to me smells like sticky date paste. And slowly but surely I start to pick up a lot of caramel as well. So again, from feeling quite boozy nutty in the opening, it opens up the blend in a way, and I'm able to pick up much more of everything that went into this. Yeah. Sticky, like as I'm smelling this fragrance, like I can easily pick up the date accord, and it feels so well highlighted, so well contoured. Is that a good word? I hope it is. It really shines, and it feels so sticky. It's almost like when I smell this fragrance, I feel how sticky it is. And again, a few minutes in, you have the caramel that starts to shine as well, and the caramel, the way they did the caramel accord complements the date accord in such a beautiful way. It's almost like you'd mix sticky caramel syrup with a sticky creamy date paste. Add again something boozy, rummy, with a little bit of something tonka-like there. And I'd say this is the fragrance. It feels extremely intense and decadent at the same time. This is clearly a love or hate type of fragrance. I don't think this is the kind of fragrance that again awakens different reactions within people. I find it very unapologetic, loud, layered, complex, very well done texture-wise. Like it's rich and it's sticky and it's dense and it's thick and it's robust. It also has beautiful depth about it. It's not just bright and light and airy with something creamy and sticky. No, it has quite a lot of depth about it. Yeah, something, again, burnt sugary in the background, but the burnt sugar, it's almost like it adds just a soft aroma to the blend, but it doesn't take the shine away from the date accord with the caramel. I feel like the date and the caramel are the pillars of the fragrance, with that boozy tonka bean infused accord in the opening, but that, like I've mentioned, fades away. Now, I have to say, more or less, this is quite a straightforward fragrance. I can say that I pick up significant changes as it develops. I feel like the most significant change I pick up is once you lose that rummy tonka combo, to my nose at least, and the scent gets much more creamy and much more edible, so it loses the boozy facet completely. Yeah, and I pick up the date and the caramel and the stickiness of both of those accords. Yeah, with the burnt sugar in the background, like I've mentioned, such a wide variety of different gourmand accents that each adds its own sweetness, each adds its own specific sweetness to the composition. So it's not only sweet from the date, it's sweet from the date accord, it's sweet from the caramel, it's sweet from the burnt sugary facet, it's sweet from something vanillic, but again, the vanilla doesn't overshine the other notes. In a way, it helps to build them up even more, if you ask me. Now, let me tell you how this fragrance evolves from the heart till the dry down. Like I told you, I don't pick up as many changes as I've picked up from the opening up until the heart part. I'd say mainly what happens, the fragrance loses some of the stickiness, but it still maintains this creamy round around the edges effect that it has. And I pick up a lot of date. Again, creamy date paste with creamy caramel, burnt sugar in the background that feels again quite creamy and round around the edges, and vanilla. Yeah, what a well done fragrance, you guys. What a well done fragrance, and what a specific scent profile this fragrance has. If you're one who loves date in your fragrances, date accords, if you're one who loves caramel in your fragrances, I'd say test this fragrance. Test it, because you might fall in love with this blend. Not to say that it's for everyone, because I don't think it's for everyone. It's for a specific taste. You need to love ultra sweet fragrances. But something I like about this blend and the way they blended all of these notes, even though, like I've mentioned, this feels extremely sweet, like borderline sickly sweet, but a well done type of sickly sweet, not the one that feels sharp and flat. That comes across as cheap. This comes across as expensive. This doesn't smell cheap. Because, like I've mentioned, the type of sweetness matches the texture, you know? So it's not just sweet and flat and sharp. No, it has a lot of dimension and layers upon layers about it. Yeah, but this is for an acquired taste. Like I'm even struggling to think what other fragrances to tell you that if you like that fragrance, you might enjoy this fragrance. I don't think I've tried a fragrance that's so, yeah, that follows such a scent direction. So this is quite a unique one in my collection, at least. Beautiful and acquired taste, but if you love dating your fragrances, try it. Try it. Again, you might love it, you might hate it, but this fragrance will make you feel something for sure. So moving on to the last fragrance, to Gladiators Oud from Ministry of Wood. I like the upgrade on the bottles. I will add a close-up with the bottle perhaps, but I really like the upgrade compared to the previous bottles from the Ministry of Wood line. Now this, they say this is supposed to be an inspiration of Goldfield and Banks Silky Woods. Haven't smelled it, so I'm not going to be able to compare the two. But I will tell you how this fragrance smells as a standalone fragrance. So let me just spray it. So this fragrance, this has a very interesting composition. It feels very modern. It has something molecular in the mix, like a molecular woody accord. Yeah, that you find in some fragrances that exude this your skin but better aura. But this is not the your skin but better. No, this is again quite a decadent composition. Yeah, so as I'm smelling this fragrance, I pick up this molecular woody accord that feels very dry. It has something salty about it. So it's dry, woody, salty, very modern and molecular, paired with a freshly grounded cardamom accord that adds this spicy, green, refreshing touch to the blend. Not refreshing to the point where it comes across as masculine or overly refreshing. It just adds a kick to the opening, you know, and somehow a lift to the other notes. Something a little bit musky and powdery. Now, this is the fragrance. Let's just say if the other fragrance had more of a linear development, this is the kind of fragrance that goes through more of a complex development. And I have to say, the way it smells in the opening is not really how it will smell in the heart and in the dry down. So I'd say how it evolves from the opening till the heart. First things first, it goes much more complex. I feel like different notes starts to shine as well. And the scent itself goes a little bit more warmer, sweeter and creamier, dare I say. It still holds or maintains this molecular undertone about the fragrance, and I feel like it will maintain this up until the dry down. Maybe not until the last bits of the dry down, but this, you know how it comes across, you guys. It comes across as this pencil shaving accord, if you ask me. So it's dry, it has that specific pencil shaving effect. And a little bit salty, and again very molecular. It's almost like synthetic, but in a good way, not in a bad way. And a tad salty, if you ask me. But I start to pick up something that smells doughy to my nose, and I'm guessing that might come from the vanilla. But it legit has this doughy undertone about it, like some vanilla essence you'd put in a dough to bake something, but it's like a fresh dough. It's not like a dough that's baked in a way. Yeah, it has this doughy undertone that I find it very interesting, especially in this combination paired with a pencil shaving type of woody accord. I'm guessing that pencil shaving woody accord is the suede accord actually. I can't really see that it comes across as a suede accord to my nose, but you know, suede accords, if you've tried a handful of fragrances with a suede accord, with a leather accord, you know that not all smell alike. They have a lot of variety within this range. Yeah, but to me, it doesn't come across as suede at all. At all. So don't be scared of the suede accord. So yes, like I've mentioned, something doughy, vanillic, with this beautiful creamy banana-like facet in the background. So I say the fragrance overall goes a little bit warmer, goes a little bit thicker, feels less airy, and it feels much more dense. And also starts to feel much more sweet. And it gets to a point where the vanilla accord, it still has that doughy undertone, but now the vanilla shines more than the doughy facet. And it reminds me a lot of the vanilla accord you have in What Are the Hub Ferment from Junaid Perfumes. I will add the fragrance right here on the screen. I'd say it has something similar to that scent profile. But here it's done in a different way. Here it's done, think in a more molecular, modern, androgynous, chic, elevated way. You have here different synthetic molecular modern accords blended with different creamy sweet accords, you know, creamy from the vanilla with a slight doughy facet, creamy from, I don't know, in my mind it's something like a creamy banana, and usually that comes from ylang ylang in fragrances. But it's an ylang ylang that doesn't come across overly tropical floral like, you know what I mean? Overly heady, overly strong, overly. To me, it's more of that creamy banana like ylang ylang that you find in fragrances like Pearl Oud from Ahmed El Maghribi, if you've tried that fragrance. Yeah, very interesting composition. Now, even though I've said that this reminds me of Motar Dahab Formant from Junaid Perfumes, I want to emphasize that it's more the vanilla accord that reminds me of the fragrance that I've mentioned. It's not the blend or the composition in itself. The composition itself feels quite different energy-wise than Motar Dahab Formant. This feels much more modern, like I've mentioned, and for some reason it feels androgynous. This is the kind of fragrance that doesn't give me this princessy femininity about it, but it's neither the opposite energy, that like raw, wild, untamed masculinity. No, to me, it's almost like this fragrance or the accords dip their toes into different energies. You know, you have something that feels quite androgynous, but it's paired with something sweet. Could I picture it on men? Yes, I could. Would I like to smell this one on my partner? No, I wouldn't. This is again that kind of fragrance that I prefer to smell it on myself. I am quite picky, like I've mentioned in different videos. When it comes to the kind of fragrances I like to smell on my partner, I don't really like sweet fragrances on him. I don't like these kind of fragrances on him. I prefer to smell, as generic as that might sound, but I prefer to smell on him those classics in terms of masculine fragrances. Aquatic marines, freshies, spicy green fragrances with something woody, aromatic fragrances on him, tobacco forward fragrances on him. Yeah, this, I don't know why when I smell this fragrance, it's almost like in my mind I have like a black statement blazer. This fragrance would fit very well that Scandinavian style in terms of fashion for some reason. Like when I smell this fragrance, because just like that style that that combines feminine pieces with more masculine cuts, masculine materials, masculine textures. Yeah, I feel like something very similar happened in the creation of this fragrance. So what to tell you about this fragrance? Keep in mind, if you're one who prefers fragrances that feel more realistic, like photorealistic, if you don't really like this modern direction, this more molecular accord, that they come across definitely much more synthetic, but again, not synthetic in a negative way. Synthetic, it's almost like it's something made in the lab, you know, like I feel like how Baccarat Rouge and the trend that fragrance set in the world of perfumery is that kind of modern edge I'm talking about, you know. Again, you have it in Amber Rhythm, you have it in fragrances like Instant Crush, you have that. It's not the same accord, I'm not saying that they smell alike because they clearly don't, but it's that accord that comes across as synthetic, but it adds a very specific touch to the composition, and it works, you guys. It works in this fragrance, it works in Baccarat Rouge, it works in Instant Crush, it works because it makes the fragrance feel much more modern and again, quite androgynous if you ask me. Yeah. Beautiful fragrance. Let me just spray it a little bit on my skin. I feel like on my skin rather than on paper, I feel like on paper, that dry, bright pencil shaving accord shines a bit more than it shines on my skin, especially half an hour in. I feel like on my skin, half an hour in, I do pick up that accord, but in the way it moves in the back, and it leaves a lot of room for the creamy nose to shine again. Creamy banana with that doughy like vanilla accord, you know? And I don't know why. I pick up something like a powdery gingery facet. I don't know again why. Yeah. Because this has this translucency about it, or this, again, this brightness about it, even though it's creamy and dense, I think this is the kind of fragrance that you could wear it all year round, be it winter, be it summer, be it spring, be it autumn, date during the daytime, during the nighttime, you know? Yeah, so from this perspective, it's quite a versatile fragrance. Again, I haven't smelled Silky Woods, so I'm not able to compare the two, but I like what they did with this fragrance. I like the direction they chose to go with this blend. Something modern with something gourmand and creamy. If I were to tell you what fragrances, let me just bring these fragrances back. Now, if I were to tell you what fragrances stood out to me the most from this video, I'd say are these two. This one because of the sweetness, because of the gourmand accords and how they're done and how layered and decadent they feel. I am interested in exploring different layering combinations with this fragrance, because this is one that this for sure will layer amazing, but with specific fragrances, because this in itself it's quite a complex and layered blend. And also this one surprised me in such a positive way. I like the pairing between that pencil shaving accord that's dry, molecular and bright, with that creamy banana-like accord, and with that doughy vanilla and something spicy. For some reason, this gives me signature scent vibes, because it's, like I've mentioned, it's versatile enough to wear it during the daytime, during the nighttime, all year round. It won't come across as suffocating in summer, even though this is quite a heavy blend. But again, it has that dry, bright, woodsy facet, you know, that in a way keeps it from feeling dark. This is not a dark composition. This is creamy and dense, but it's not dark. This one, Gladiator's Oath. And also, this is such a serious name for a fragrance that feels so modern and dress it up, dress it down, edgy, hipstery, if you ask me. Yeah. See, even now, as I'm smelling it on my skin, the creaminess shines in such a beautiful way. The one that I can really see that it surprised me the most is this one, Choco Cult. But maybe, again, that's because I've compared it, not compared it on purpose, but when I'm testing more fragrances, of course, naturally you compare how one feels, how the performance of one is, compared to the other, so on and so forth. And I feel like compared to the other two, this one didn't do much for me. But again, keep in mind, I'm not a fan of Coconut Lagoon on myself, but I like in theory, I like what they did. I like what they did. This, again, skin warmth, body butter quality about it. Raw cocoa body butter with something shea butter like, with orange blossom, and then again, like I've mentioned, it moves more into the lime coconut aquatic direction that feels a little bit refreshing without fully losing the accords from the opening. It's just they go much softer and more in the background. So yeah, again, beautiful fragrance if you have a taste for this kind of fragrances, but personally, if you ask me, these ones surprised me much more, and what they did with these two fragrances. So yes, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I will close off the video because ideally I want to film some videos after. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like the video because it helps me a lot with the algorithm. I will see you in my next video, but until then, I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye guys.